Right, we start with this breaking news story. Teachers Union Sadtu is going to court to challenge the rewriting of MATRIC exams. The Basic Education Department is making pupils retake 2 exams that were leaked last month. They were the second physics and maths papers. For more on the challenge, Sadtu General Secretary MUGWENA Maluleke joins me on Skype from Pretoria. Thank you very much, sir, for your time. So firstly, can you confirm for us that you are in fact planning to challenge the rewriting of maths and the physics paper 2 for both of them, and then why?
Yes, good morning, and good morning to your viewers, and thank you for having us indeed, and thank you for the questions. We're doing this because we believe that the learners have gone through a very traumatic year, and therefore the investigation is inconclusive, and taking a decision by UMalusi as a quality assurer based on inconclusive evidence of the investigation is very problematic, and therefore having forced the Department of Education to take a decision that the learners must rewrite at a national level instead of a localized level where the leaks might have happened, and those particular learners who might have seen the papers or even have copied are the people that are supposed to be looked at. And as markers, our experience has always been that you are always able to detect that there are learners who might have seen the papers or who might have seen the memorandum during the marking, and those particular answering sheets have always been isolated, and therefore the results of those particular analyses have always been withheld. And for them to have a general rewriting for 400,000 learners, obviously 391 on the basis of 195, we think that particular decision is irrational, and we want to ask the court to interdict this particular decision so that our learners can really not be traumatized. You need mental status to write an examination. It's not just about going through a book. You need to be mentally strong and emotionally ready to write an examination.
So the Basic Education Department is saying that they've made this decision to protect the credibility of the National Senior Certificate. What do you say in answer to that?
We believe that the credibility has not been compromised on the basis that you have less than 5% or 0.5% of learners who might have seen the papers. Not that they have practiced the papers. They might have seen the papers. And some of the reports that we receive is that some might have only seen it 10 minutes before they sit for the examination. And therefore we need evidence to make sure that the department is able to say, yes, the examination papers have been compromised. We don't believe that they've been compromised, and therefore the credibility hasn't been compromised. As I'm saying, we have experience in this country where papers have been leaked, and therefore only the learners who have been affected or an area that might have been affected were the only ones that were allowed to write that particular paper. Or in these instances, you have a situation where the department was able to then use another paper before the learners wrote because they were told that the paper might have leaked. And in terms of physical science, clearly there's no evidence at all because they didn't even investigate. So we still have to have an investigation that says to us how broad was the paper spread, and therefore how many learners have been. And you can only do that during marking in order to ensure that you can say so many learners have really seen the papers, and therefore will isolate their scripts and not give them the results until they have come forward to give evidence on whether they have been given the papers or they were given a memorandum. So we believe in the absence of any evidence, hard evidence around these 2 papers, it is unfair to then let all the learners write this particular examination rather than to be waiting until we mark, because we have got those particular tools in terms of the regulation to have investigative marking.
Mr. Maluleke, you rightfully say that it's been a difficult year for all learners, not just matrics, and that you need to be in the right frame of mind, the right emotional state of mind to write 2 papers, additional papers. However, the Department of Basic Education has already made this decision. Learners are already mentally preparing themselves to rewrite those papers. Do you not think an ongoing legal challenge of this nature would put additional pressure on them?
Well, we're doing that on behalf of the learners who have approached us, And we have seen that if we don't do this thing, we might sit with a disruption of examination. And we believe as a professional organization, we do not want to see a situation where examination centers are being disrupted. You have seen statements that have been sent by student organizations rejecting the rewriting of this. And we felt that let's rather go to court as a recourse so that if the court will do it immediately, then we are then able, if we are able to have the court agreeing with us, then the learners will then be not rewriting. But if the court doesn't agree with us on Tuesday, then obviously we'll have got to then go back and start supporting our learners to be able to write. And that's why we have approached the court instead of really putting the learners into a situation where they're not sure whether they're writing or they're not going to be writing.
Thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us. Sadtu General Secretary MUGWENA speaking to us on the rewrites of 2 matric papers.